Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're taking a first look at the brand new Community Day Pokemon Vanilluxe in the Open Great League. As always, with these early Calm Day shoutcasts, these battles were submitted to the channel by the one and only Smudgy B, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now, Vanilluxe already had Astonish, which is a great fast move, but its charge moves is where it was lacking. But it gets its first good charge move with its new legacy move of Avalanche. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and let's take a look at Legacy Vanilluxe in the Open Great League. We hop into match number 1 and it's a very neutral lead, Gastrodon against Azumarill. Now this matchup, Azumarill will typically take the Zero Shield with a double Ice Beam. It is the shiny Gastrodon as well, so you love to see the flex. Earth Power is going to connect, dealing some pretty significant damage. Gastrodon is going to be no shielding here. Azumarill actually goes for a Play Rough. If they Play Rough, then Gastrodon can make a second Earth Power, but here Smudgy actually makes a really nice play. Smudgy isn't going for Switch. He wants to soft lose this matchup in exchange for a massive amount of Shadow Drapion farm. So Ice Beam is going to pick up the KO. Here it is. Drapion hits the field and gets a full crunch for free. Out comes Clodsire, and if this is their best response to a Drapion that has 5 Poison Sting's energy head start, the opponent's going to be in for a terrible day. Drapion just continuing the farm, applying more and more pressure here. Aqua Tail number 2 is going to land. Opponent firing off energy with the Clodsire. Drapion shields, unfortunately, it is a Sludge Bomb bait, but even with the bait, the opponent is still in dire straits here, as they just can't really damage this Drapion. Drapion's going to get the Aqua Tail, putting so much pressure on the opponent. They just gave up their first shield. They give up the second shield as well. Smudgy opting to let it go. He's saving the shield for Vanilluxe. Earthquake picks up the KO. Vanilluxe hits the field. But in comes a Talonflame. That's not what you're hoping to see. Talonflame going to be hit with the Avalanche. Smudgy needs this to knock out. Avalanche does pick up the KO. Back in comes Clodsire. Clodsire is not going to outpace Vanilluxe. Gonna take game 1 as Avalanche is going to pick up the knockout onto Clodsire. We move into game number 2, leading Gastrodon, oh no, into Shadow Dragonite. This is incredibly bad. Shadow Dragonite is probably able to win the 2 shield against every Pokemon on this team. Obviously, Vanilluxe is an Ice type, but it's running Astonish. So if the opponent wants, honestly, their best play pattern is probably just to stay in against the Drapion, double shield, and just fully farm all the way down. That way, their Dragonite still maintains quite a bit of health, and the Drapion effectively gets completely neutralized. So this is an incredibly tough spot to be in for Smudgy. Smudgy going to send out the Gastrodon because at the very least Gastrodon's only going to be taking neutral damage here. He's leaving it all up to Vanilluxe. Vanilluxe 1v3, Dragon Claw, CMP tie on the Body Slam. Vanilluxe is going to have a masterclass in this endgame. In comes Vanilluxe. Dragonite is going to get astonished down. What does the opponent have? Oh, they bring out Sandslash. Flash Cannon might knock out here. Flash Cannon, this is a very hard-hitting neutral move. Opponent going to go for the Drill Run. Vanilluxe firing off the Flash Cannon. Come on, KO this Sandslash. Flash Cannon does pick up the knockout, but no, it's Jellicent in the back. Smudgy, he plays it perfectly. He plays to the CMP tie. But here's where just the lack of coverage on Vanilluxe is going to just be costly, as that Avalanche will not be enough. Jellicent Surf KOs Vanilluxe, and that's unfortunately going to be a loss. We move to match number 3, Gastrodon against Primeape. Considering the backline, it's very nice to catch Primeape here. Primeape does tend to struggle quite a bit against Gastrodon. Opponent does farm up quite a lot. Are they going to bait here? No, they full set the close combat. Primeape is going to make a switch and a catch onto Wigglytuff. The opponent, oh my goodness, making the right reads so far. In comes Shadow Drapion. Shadow Drapion farming up energy, firing off this Aqua Tail, looking to apply pressure onto the Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff with an O-Shield, will they undertap the move? No, they do not. They could have undertapped a Swift there, but instead they go for good timing, and that's going to cost them a shield. They will fire off energy. Smudgy is going to shield up the Drapion because he knows that he will exit with a solid amount of energy. Drapion exits pretty close to a charge attack. Back in comes the Primeape. Primeape firing off energy, and this is going to be such a tough game. Primeape Rage Fist is going to be shielded up by the Drapion. There's still enough health on the Drapion that I don't think it can be Karate Chop down. It's going to be close. There's the catch. Being able to catch that move is incredibly clutch, because now this means there's a move stored on that Drapion for later. Vanilluxe gets a farm down. In the back is going to be Mandibuzz. And that's about the perfect Pokemon that you could hope to see here as Vanilluxe. Very limited fast move pressure. Avalanche does massive damage. And my goodness, this Pokemon is going to struggle against most things. The opponent going for the Aerial Ace here, trying to get 2 moves. They know a Dark Pulse would not knock out. They get the second Aerial Ace, but it's a CMP tie loss. Down goes Mandibuzz, and Vanilluxe is barely able to clutch the win. Gastrodon into Guzzlord. Guzzlord would honestly be atrocious for the backline to see, so it's pretty fine to see it on the lead here with the Gastrodon. Opponent is going to play to the CMP tie. Gastrodon can survive any one move, so we will see the no shield. It's going to be the crunch, but you really have to hope that the Guzzlord no shields, because if they shield, things are going to get tricky, and they do just that. We're now going to see a safe switch into the Drapion because Smudgy couldn't afford to concede that farm down. The opponent, they go for a crunch here, fishing for a debuff that they get. They're rewarded for throwing the resisted move, and now in comes Tinkaton, and this is looking like such a tough game to win. Drapion is spamming on Aqua Tails, just trying to get damage on this Tinkaton. Tinkaton actually played to a CMP tie that they do not win. Bulldoze is going to knock out here. The opponent, oh, they're on Heavy Slam. As far as Great League goes, I do think Bulldoze Play Rough is definitely the moveset to go for. The pacing is just too good to pass up. In comes the Gastrodon. Gastrodon gets a Mud Slap and a Body Slam into the Tinkaton. Tinkaton now pretty low. In comes Vanilluxe trying to 1v3. Opponent sends out Credilli. At minimum, this is a Pokemon weak to Ice, but this is going to be a tough ask because Vanilluxe is going to be -1 attack. Vanilluxe realistically will need 4 Astonishes plus the Avalanche to KO Credilli. Come on, Vanilluxe. I know you have a very high attack stat. -1 Avalanche into Credilli. No, it doesn't KO. 1 HP on the Credilli left, and that is game losing. Vanilluxe almost could have pulled off the world's greatest sweep, but it's not to be. Without still having that final shield, Heavy Slam from Tinkaton will mean game over. We move to the next match here, leading Gastrodon into Pangoro. Pangoro would be a pretty big problem for an Ice type running Astonish, so very nice to catch here. The opponent throws on 5, so they might just be close combating and dipping. That's exactly what they're going to do. Out comes Leavanny, and this is actually a Pokemon that I've been trying to make work, but safe switching Leavanny to me is not something that I understand. I do think Leavanny, its coverage and pacing is very interesting, but safe swapping it? Talonflame exists, trainer. If Talonflame was brought onto the field, then that poor Leavanny would get absolutely charbroiled. Leavanny now going to go for the cheaper Leaf Blade. Aqua Tail, it's resisted, probably wouldn't be enough to KO, so I do like the decision to fire off the crunch. The opponent ends up double shielding. In comes Pangoro, and now we will see the switch into Vanilluxe. The Gastrodon was very, very low, so choosing to try and let Vanilluxe get rid of the Panda and save the Gastrodon for what I'm imagining he's expecting is going to be a poison type in the back, considering the Pangoro lead. Opponents thinking about it here, waiting out their timer, and it's the poison type. He made the right read. The Avalanche is reached. This is going to do big damage. There should be a move available on that Gastrodon as needed. Opponent is going to predict the combo, and they switch in Leavanny. Leavanny Leaf Blade picks up the KO. There's such little HP remaining on that Drapion. You might have to send in Vanilluxe. Sends in the Drapion. Drapion thankfully can survive the Shadow Claws here. Will be able to pick up the knockout with the Aqua Tail. Can the opponent get a Poison Sting down? They cannot. My goodness. Things were looking dire there, but he made the read. He saved the Gastrodon, anticipating the Poison type in the back, and things got a little scary, but they do end in a win. Oh my goodness, this is an absolute disaster of a lead. Leading Gastrodon into Furret, and Furret just breaks this team. We are going to see a nice switch out into the Drapion, hopefully catching a Trailblaze, and does catch a Trailblaze, but out comes Claydol. The energy from the Drapion will go very far into the Claydol, but this is already looking like a really tough team because how do you get rid of that Furret? The opponent will actually end up firing off energy here. They realized that the crunch would be reached. Smudgy is going to shield. He knows that he needs damage onto this Claydol, so he'll shield. Even a -1 crunch will still do quite a lot of damage. Now, out comes Gastrodon. Gastrodon going to go for a Body Slam. The opponent is pretty low here, hoping Body Slam will be enough to knock out the Claydol. Barely hangs on. Oh, but it's Talonflame in the back. And unfortunately, this is just not a winnable game. Body Slam is shielded. The opponent, I guess, respecting a potential Water Pulse. But I just don't see a world where Vanilluxe is clutching this. In comes Vanilluxe. And these Incinerates are just melting. Oh no, we've got melted ice cream here in the Great League. Poor Vanilluxe. It's really trying, but there's still an entire Furret that has basically no damage on it. So unfortunately, leading into the Furret, it was basically game over anyway. And it turns out they actually saved a move on Claydol too. So Furret doesn't even need to be brought back in. We move to the next game, Gastrodon against Dewgong. This is a matchup that Dewgong will win over time. Considering the backline, it's not the worst thing to catch the Dewgong on the lead. He's actually going to fire off the Body Slam on the CMP tie here, so this way he gets some damage before a debuff. The opponent shields, so they really want to apply the debuff before any damage lands, but the opponent actually locked in a Drill Run instead. So they shield, trying to apply a debuff, but they forgot what move they pressed, and now things are honestly looking pretty good out of a negative lead. Shadow Drapion farm will go absolutely crazy here. Oh, we're actually going for Vanilluxe farm. Vanilluxe gets a 4 Astonish head start. In comes a Wigglytuff. Oh my goodness. Is it Flash Cannon time? Come on, please. Wigglytuff players love to shield. I'm worried about it. It connects. Down goes Wigglytuff. It's Gastrodon in the back though, and that's going to be tough for the Drapion, but Wigglytuff got absolutely destroyed. In comes the Drapion. The opponent, they're throwing energy here, and they mistime their charge attack, and that's going to give a free Poison Sting to the Drapion. Each free Poison Sting is a little bit of energy closer to a game-winning move. Drapion, again, being given the free Poison Sting. The opponent at this point has to realize they just cannot pull off this win. They're in Aqua Tail range. Drapion has the necessary energy. Down goes the Gastrodon, and that Wigglytuff getting one shot made it all worthwhile. Oh my goodness, that was a beautiful moment. All right, Gastrodon into Claydol. Nice to catch the Claydol on the lead. Claydol is going to play to the CMP tie here as they make the Ice Beam when Gastrodon makes the Earth Power. Earth Power is going to be shielded. The fact that the opponent is shielded makes me think it could be a Rock Tomb bait. Oh, but it's not. It's an Ice Beam. I stand corrected. And now Gastrodon is going to try and make the Earth Power and does get there. So, guaranteeing some very nice damage onto the opponent. They actually double shield the Claydol. So the opponent investing so many resources into that Claydol. Out comes the Shadow Drapion. I mean, Shadow Drapion will take a lot of damage from Rock Tomb. Drapion will be able to get to an Aqua Tail. You know what? We have 2 Shield Vanilluxe. No way 2 Shield Vanilluxe can't sweep here. It's going to be a Clodsire. Well, that's a good start for our 2 Shield Vanilluxe sweep win con here. Vanilluxe going to be committing the shield on the Sludge Bomb. Now we know the moveset. It's a Azumarill in the back, and this is going to be tough because this is going to burn a lot of energy. Flash Cannon lands, but that's so many Astonishes of energy down the drain. I don't think Vanilluxe is going to be able to pull this off. Vanilluxe might have to bank a bunch of energy and then switch back into the Drapion maybe. We are going to see the Flash Cannon launched here at this Azumarill. Will it be enough to KO? Azumarill does get knocked out, and now the switch into the Drapion. Drapion firing off the Aqua Tail, but if you're the opponent, you're basically just looking to farm up to the back-to-back Sludge Bombs. They will fire off energy, denying that Aqua Tail. That Aqua Tail would have been so helpful. Only full-sended Earthquake. Maybe there's a chance. Come on, Vanilluxe. It's just so slow. Oh my goodness. I feel like Vanilluxe, I mean, if it just had better pacing, maybe, but its pacing is so slow, and unfortunately, it does not win that game. Hopping into the final match, the Dream lead leading in a Tinkaton. There's a safe switch into Golisopod, and that will swiftly be answered with Drapion. Golisopod does win the zeros here. They go for an X-Scissor neutrally. Aqua Jet is the move that you do want to go for. Crunch into Golisopod is going to inflict serious damage, but Golisopod will get the ever-important shield advantage out of this mid-game. And shield advantage means the opponent's going to get a healthy farm on that Tinkaton, and Tinkaton's energy does add up. Like a Play Rough will inflict meaningful damage onto that poor Gastrodon. Now we are going to see another Aqua Tail reach. Drapion doing what it can here, just applying some damage onto this Tinkaton. Tinkaton decides against the farm down. They just weren't getting enough damage onto the Drapion. Bulldoze will pick up the KO. In comes the Gastrodon. In the back is Credilli. Oh no, Vanilluxe. Not like this. Rock Tomb lands, doesn't get a move, and unfortunately that's just gonna be game over. All in all, Avalanche is a pretty significant improvement for Vanilluxe, but Vanilluxe is still a long ways off from any kind of meta viability. And we saw in these games, Smudgy had brilliant plays several times to be able to kind of will the team to wins. But there was a lot of situations where if there was even a remotely competent third Pokemon instead of Vanilluxe, it could have been a very straightforward win. But unfortunately, Vanilluxe just kept selling game after game after game. I think Vanilluxe would realistically need a better fast move. Astonish is a solid option, but if you're going to be using the new legacy move of Avalanche, it would probably need a move with faster energy generation, because 15 turns to the first move is just too slow. Either that, or potentially, if it gets a coverage move that's 35 energy. Because that way it would have good synergy with Avalanche, 35 plus 45, and on top of that, it would give it a cheaper move to get to. So that could potentially be an option, because I don't hate the Astonish plus Avalanche combination, but man, it just feels so slow in a lot of those endgame situations when you're just trying to race to a move. Unfortunately, Vanilluxe, it's definitely a combo day where you can play and get the shinies and hold on to it in case it gets a move update, but currently, it's not seeing any play. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Any special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.